Lumen here. Thanks for tuning in. Just a little note from the future here. Now that we've got a so-called ceasefire in Palestine, in Gaza, that Israel is already violated, by the way. I just wanted to come out because I'm seeing a lot of people online. I've seen the Israeli government, I've seen the United States government say things like Hamas is tired of fighting, say things like, oh, this is a great victory for Israel. But I just want to lay out, I'm not going to hide my bias as, I don't mess with genocide. I don't like that. I don't like apartheid. So I'm not going to hide my bias towards the Palestinian people and the Palestinian resistance. But we have to face material facts here. Look, Hamas is still armed. They never lost one hostage through combat. The tunnel network still stands. The rocket teams are ready to go at any times. They denied Israel all of their operational goals. Every single one. They're not destroyed. They're not disarmed. They never got into the tunnels. They dragged Israel and the United States. Remember that. Israel and the United States are always together. It's not one or the other. Dragged the United States, the most lethal military that's ever existed, and its colony, Israel, to the bargaining table. They traded 20 hostages for 2,000 hostages. So if this is a win for Israel, I sure would hate to see a loss. But stay tuned, and here's your video. 23 seconds. That's all it takes for an IDF Merkava tank to erupt in flames after roughly a $600 shaped charge water pipe warhead punched straight through its belly in Gaza. The world's most protected vehicles, an armored behemoth designed to withstand incredible punishment, disabled by what was essentially a bomb built in a basement. Yet time and time again, the underdog keeps landing those unexpected, painful blows. How exactly did Palestinian resistance manage to turn a strip of land barely twice the size of Washington, D.C. into a fortress that still manages to challenge the American-funded IDF and bring it to its knees all the way to the bargaining table? Stick around, you'll get the answer. And what you'll find, it's less about overwhelming firepower and more about navigating the steepest, most brutal learning curve in modern warfare. Just a quick note. If you want to see more videos and breakdowns like this, then feel free to like and subscribe. It's 100% free, and it helps the channel beat YouTube's algorithmic suppression. We could go back all the way to 1948, but for brevity, let's just rewind to Gaza in 2005. Israel pulls its settlers out, but crucially, it maintains an iron grip on the air, sea, and even the population registry. Then, Hamas wins the 2006 election, and a year later seizes full internal control. What followed was a blockade, a suffocating squeeze so tight that at one point even basic items like pasta and hearing aid batteries were classified as dual-use items, effectively banned. Early Hamas squads faced a triple threat: no open supply routes, absolutely no air cover, and nowhere to retreat to. The first solution, short-range ingenuity, embodied by Qassam rockets. We're talking steel tubes, fertilizer propellant, and sugar-based fuel. The range, barely 8 kilometers. The accuracy, well, the joke was always, we're launching them somewhere towards Ashkelon. They were more harassment than harm, but they taught two absolutely priceless lessons. Even symbolic strikes can profoundly shape Israeli politics, and anything you fire better be cheap enough to lose without a second thought. This forced ingenuity became the bedrock of their evolving strategy, turning scarcity into a principled design. 2008, it was clear. Any above-ground weapon shops or manufacturing sites were flattened by Israeli jets within days of any serious clash. So what do you do when you can't operate above ground? You go under. This ushered in a true below-ground renaissance of resistance. Gaza's soil is mostly sandy loam, a real annoyance to try to shore up, but remarkably fast to dig through with any small electric auger. Hamas engineers quickly started stacking dual-use tunnels. Some were smuggling lanes snaking into the Sinai, while others became fighting corridors burrowing right under the border fence. These were sophisticated, often featuring electricity, ventilation systems, and even basic communication lines, allowing fighters to move unseen and maintain operational control. A standard 1.2 meter shaft might cost about $3,000 in materials and labor, but it could hide an entire resistance cell, store rockets, and even double as a media studio, completely immune to drone optics. Add in some PVC vents, bicycle-powered air pumps for fresh air, and cheap Chinese LED string lights, and what you've got is a subterranean subway system that no GPS guided bomb can fully map or ever neutralize. When the IDF entered Gaza in 2009, they met their first tunnel ambush. Fighters would suddenly pop out behind advancing units, fire RPG-7s at crucial antenna clusters, and then vanish back into the earth. The lesson was stark. When you can't control the sky, you absolutely can control the earth under your feet. Then came the rocket revolution. Iranian engineers, often sneaking in through Sudan and then through the Sinai, brought not just 107mm missile blueprints, but a simpler, more profound insight. Guidance was still, at best, statistical, but volume became the new word of the day. In 2012, Palestinian teams fired roughly 1,500 rockets, enough to force Tel Aviv into shelters for the first time since 1991. Israel's Iron Dome intercepts many of these, for sure, but each interceptor missile from the United States costs somewhere between $50,000 to $100,000. Hamas, meanwhile, is firing rounds for under $800 a pop. That's an economic attrition ratio of 60-1 in Palestine's favor. This consistent psychological pressure on Israel, coupled with the immense financial drain on Israeli defense budget, which in turn, as we remember, is America's defense budget, became a critical component of their long-term strategy. Scrap Israeli 155mm shells provided the TNT, local plumbing stores supplied the copper. When you plant one of these charges under asphalt, hook it up to a washing machine timer, and even a Merkava tank is brought down easily as the explosive tears through them like rice paper. The footage of these successes naturally rocketed around Telegram channels. The morale win was arguably bigger than any of the material lost. Fast forward a few years, by 2022, Hamas even had started upcycling unexploded Israeli bombs. They'd attach a new fuse, wrap it in cement chunks for fragmentation, and then bury it beside patrol routes. Suddenly, the IDF's own ordnance was becoming the signature weapon against them, literally hoisted by their own petard. Then came the drones, the kind you'd find at a Best Buy here in the States, that would retail for about $150. Slap on a 3D printed mortar tube, load a 40mm grenade, and just like that, you've got a hovering bomb. Israel, meanwhile, responds with $3 million Patriot missile systems, again funded by the United States, because that's what the arsenal's built for. These drones are also used for reconnaissance and surveillance, providing invaluable intelligence. The footage of these drone strikes is often HD and uploaded before the smoke even clears. Each drone sortie becomes a camera crew and a strike package rolled all into one, a potent combination of physical and psychological impact. And this brings us to arguably their most ingenious weapon, media. Every single GoPro clip, every single shaky cell phone video, every single commercial backup camera is raw material for a meticulously executed psychological operation. Within minutes of an operation, cell-based editing teams are clipping, subtitling, color correcting, and then pushing content to Telegram channels that feed Gaza-branded Instagram Reels and TikTok Shorts. We're talking about hashtags trending in Jakarta, Istanbul, and Dearborn, Michigan, before Western news networks even have finished their morning coffee, creating an organic human botnet, a pushback against Israel's literal botnet and paid influencer shills. Shills funded by U.S. tax dollars that we give to Israel from your labor, by the way. Palestinian framing often reaches Gen Z first, organically shaping initial perceptions and framing the narrative in 4K, undeniable reality. This grassroots media, powered by citizen journalism and social media activism, exposes contradictions in the larger narratives and globalizes mobile support, especially among younger, digitally native audiences. Resistance groups meticulously document their operation, often marking targets in videos, not just for internal morale, but to demonstrate their capabilities and successes on a larger global stage. Of course, Israel still controls the skies and close air support, satellites watching every move, and banks of servers crunching metadata. But Palestinian groups measure victory differently. Did we survive? Did we successfully raise the costs in both shekels and international headlines? To quote Henry Kissinger, we fought a military war. Our opponents fought a political one. We sought physical attrition. Our opponents aimed for our psychological exhaustion. In the process, we lost sight of one of the most cardinal maxims of guerrilla war: The guerrilla wins if he does not lose. The conventional army loses if it does not win. The North Vietnamese use their armed forces the way a bullfighter used his cape, to keep us lunging in areas of marginal political importance. Of course, Kissinger was talking about the Vietnam War here, but the parallels cannot be denied. History has truly repeated itself. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hitting the subscribe button is free and it goes a long way. I've got more deep dives into asymmetric conflicts ready to go. Drop a comment below on what tactics surprised you the most, and please share this with anyone that says, why are they still holding on? How are they still holding on? Why haven't they given up? Thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you in the next video. As we all know by now, both Twitch and YouTube are suppressing left-wing content and left-wing voices. So by hitting that subscribe here on YouTube and following on Twitch, you're helping this channel push through that suppression and making it undeniable to the algorithm. Thank you so much.